Happy Labor Day. What a great weekend of not looking at stocks. So, I made the mistake of not looking at stocks and putting this off till the last minute. So, here it is, 10 o'clock in Missouri, and I'm getting this out to you. I only want to look at a few things for this week. I want to look at SPY. I want to look at Dow. And I want to look at the stocks that make up those ETFs. That's about all I want to do. I made another video before this one real quick. If you're interested in super cheap options, go to the small account channel, and you don't have to have a small account. You can buy 100 contracts at $6 on iTub and make a couple $100,000, right? Anyway, go check out Small Account Challenge and consider those super cheap options. I want to talk about some ideas that I had this weekend while I was drinking my Miller High Life here, and thinking about how the world's going to end this month. And so let's get started. S&P futures were open yesterday, and they're also open today, and they're pretty much just even. Nobody's doing anything. If you take a look at the this trend line here on for some reason SPX futures only goes back to 2009 after the world restarted, but you look at this trend line since 2010. It's bounced here, bounced here, bounced here, stuck underneath here for a while, didn't quite get up and bounced. We are right at it. And so the question will be, did the COVID crash, if you want to even call it a crash, I mean compared to where the SPY was, if you want to even call that a crash, but did all of the sellers get out here and everybody else is just buying and holding like normal climactic stocks do? And I'll cover that here in a second. Did all the sellers get out, or will this trend line still hold? On the weekly, it did. Last week, it held. It hit and it came back down. So we will see on the macro level here if this is really the top of the market. I have some Fibonacci numbers marked here. I'm just getting as close as I can, but in this range somewhere is also a major area. So I'm going to guess after September 17th options expire, that's when the world's going to end. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. For this week, SPY looks bullish at the moment. So I'm going to exit NVIDIA and Apple puts right now, even though they're extended, and I want to short them to, I'm going to wait because right now on the micro time frames, if you want to call it that, we had this trend line here. SPY got broke. It was running pretty good like this, and it dumped and then bounced off the 50-day moving average. Is pretty important on all time frames. It's the only moving average I've been using the last few weeks. 50-day exponential moving average. So we bounced here again, just like we do on the daily. If you look at the daily, the 50-day is where we bounce every time. So let's just say that's the most important moving average, which we're coming up to a trend line. So this trend line was broken. Obviously, we got above it, and now we're just chopping around. So I'd say this moving line, or this trend line, is invalid now, and we'll just go with this little one for now, which it broke. Retested multiple times, and pretty simple. the 50-day moving average is going to come up to this line. It's going to pull back one more time probably, and then bounce to new highs. And our target will be like 460. 460 calls on SPY. We might not even bounce. We might just get out of this junk here. You see this is a market maker pattern right here. I'm going to make this purple, magenta. So what we could do, so we had contraction, expansion, and we'll come back down to this line right here, and we'll either break it or we will bounce and then go real high, real climactic, and we'll get one last rip before the dump. So for right now, I'm going to exit Apple and Nvidia until that happens. I'm not going to get into any SPY puts until we break the 4-hour 50-day moving average. It can come back down and just keep chopping around. I don't want to mess with it while it's moving sideways like we did a couple weeks ago. It just kept grinding. It just kept chopping around doing nothing, so none of our swings were working. However, the Dow looks weaker than the SPY, so I want to focus on that. Right now it's holding the 4-hour moving average. On the daily it's still above it by quite a bit, but again, it's just chopping, doing nothing. I assume we'll get a move like this. We will chop around, break out, and then dump. We'll chop around, break up one more time, and then dump. But it's also possible that if you get on lower time frames, I've been using kind of an hourly time frame to decide when to enter puts. So what I want to do is look at some that we did last week, some that I got in and got out, some that I'm still in, and use the Dow and say, okay, if the Dow breaks above this area, then we'll assume our puts won't work and we'll get out of our puts. But for now, we're going to short stocks in the Dow instead of shorting the Dow. As you can see, this has been a little bit weaker than SPY. Still kind of putting in all-time highs, although we haven't been able to get back up yet. So we might get one more push and then another dump. I believe this one's actually using the 100-day moving average as it's oversold. If you want to use RSI too, it gets oversold at the 100-day moving average. So that'll be our target for puts. And then when we break that, then we'll go with the 200, and the 200 will be our target down here. So first, let's get rid of this because I don't use this. Let's look at Nike. We were in it, made good money, and we got out. I think we're going to keep coming down on the 4-hour. Let's go back to the 50. We might pull back up and retest the 50-day moving average, and then we'll get in short. I'm still holding some puts just in case we dump, but I would not recommend you get in until we break. I wouldn't recommend puts until we break. Break these lows again. This is clearly support here, but it's not very strong support. Prior resistance became support, so we'll see if we can, since we broke it already, let's see if we can break it again. The expectation would be to come back up here to 165, and we'll get back in our 165 puts, or you could do 160 for October, and let's see if we can get a move back down to 156. So NKE 160 or 165 looks good. What other ones was I looking at here? I'm completely unprepared for this. MSFT looks like it's about to dump. I don't know. We might wait on that one. We might put in a new high first. Let's wait on MSFT. Apple was the other one, but it looks like it's about to pop. It's holding the moving average fine. So let's get out of Apple puts, get out of Apple puts for now, and we'll see if we can put in a new high and then catch it up here on this daily trend line when we get back up here. We'll shorter it at 150.58 area. Where did all my watch list go? Okay. DELL. Dell looks like it's ready to dump. This one is stuck under the 50-day moving average on the daily. So I'm just going to go ahead and get in on Monday with the stop loss at, we'll give it a little bit of room, 98.50. 98.50 area will be our stop loss. And we'll just go ahead and get in puts on Dell. This thing is kind of choppy because there's no volume. I would expect we'll probably see a big volume spike again to ignite this this weekly 3-bar play kind of thing. It's not 3-bar play. That's not the one I was thinking of. But anyway, it just looks like it's gonna dump and come back down here. So let's get in 95 puts on that one and ride it down to 87 area support right here at 89. Let's ride it to 89. Dell 95 to 89. Sounds good to me. Target still looks good short. I think we're just going to keep chopping down. This has been extended for way too long. And we're just going to get a pullback, simple pullback to the 210 area. So let's get into 240 puts on that one and ride it down to 210 for October. You can do September if you want, but just get out sooner. TGT looks good. This one I stole from a guy on YouTube or on Twitter, but it looks good to go lower too, I believe. So I'm going to steal his idea and get into Yum 130 puts short, and I hope for about 115 for October. That one looks good. I thought I had more than this. Maybe not. Oh yeah, Crocs. Still in Crocs. Keep getting into Crocs. Keep adding. It's ready to dump. I mean, it's just, if you look at the daily, it's just ready to break and fall to, gosh, who knows. This thing was really $8. This was $8 at the COVID crash, and now it's $140. So even if we just got a 50% retracement from 150, 148 was the high. Even if we just got a 50% retracement. Oh, I've got logarithmic on here. That's why it looks silly. Let's go to regular. But yeah, look at this. $8 up to 150. So even if we just got a 50% retracement, we're talking $78. $78 right here, which maybe might even be right here, 83. But still, 140 to 83. That'll pay some bills. Crocs short. Getting Crocs short. Let me see what else I got here. XPEL. XPEL looks good to go lower. It's bouncing off the 50. I believe we'll get another move down. Our first target will be 68, so we'll get in 75 puts. First target 68. Next target is $8. I don't know. XPEL looks good short. CI, no, that one's long. Zillow still looks good short. Housing market's actually up right now and Zillow's down, so we'll see what that does. We're sitting at the 50. We're sitting at support, but we kind of broke it, so now that's going to be resistance, and we'll get another dip lower down to 85. So let's get in Z short. Z under 95. Let's get a 95 puts and ride it down to 85. $10,000 per contract. Easy money. CME looks really good short. However, it might fake out and pop back up to 205. So we'll see what that does. But it looks like it just wants to crash. It's had resistance here, triple top, and we can at least get a move down to 160 again eventually. So let's get in CME puts, not GME. GME, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet, but it could, I don't know, man. The flow is bullish right now on GME. So we'll see, but I think it's just going to come back down. It is above the 50-day, so we can see if we get a hard bounce at 188, 187 area, and see if we get a hard bounce and go back up to 450. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to play with that anymore. PH looks good short. Just another one that looks like it's just about to dump. So PH short, let's say 280 would be our first target. So if we got into 280 puts and filled this gap to 238, I think that'd be a pretty big winner. PH looks good. ANET looks good short. It's gonna fall. Put in a head and shoulders here. Let's wait till it breaks this 357 area and get in puts. First target would be this double top at 328. But easy money, easy. I'm kind of trying to get easy. EXPE looks good to keep going, but we might get a bounce. It's just cascading. First target would be 118. If we fill the gap, 106 area, and this one might take till November or December to get down here, but I still like it short. EXP, if we can get a bounce back up to 150, that would be a great entry. Just keep an eye on that one. All these are the same pattern. Did you see this? PTC, this one's putting in a double top. We'll see about where this one goes. We might get another push up, but I would just say under 105. Let's get in 105 puts and shoot for 92 first. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that guy. That's not my favorite one. OLLI looks interesting. It's already kind of dumped, and I would expect it to fill this red candle, but it might come back up. But I would expect it to come down eventually back to the $25 area. All these bargain outlet holdings, I don't know, that might be heavily shorted, so maybe we should stay away from that one. Pins doesn't do anything. Junk company, I'm gonna do just like Zoom, might bounce and then go down. Put all-time lows, $9. Let's buy it at $9 for the long term, but for now let's short it. Pins. MTN Looks good. Short. Let's wait and see if we can break this. Oh, it looks good. It looks good. We should have got in up here, but I didn't see it on Wednesday, so it looks good to go lower. What could happen with all of these things, though, is if SPY and Dow decide to just rip and just take off. What could happen is all of these will be fake outs, and then we'll just be in a ridiculous bull market for the next 6 months. But it might fake out and just keep going higher. So I'll have our stop losses listed and all that kind of stuff. I've got a million things to look at, but Zen, ZEN looks good. Again, it might bounce once more, but now I think we've got what was resistance, what was support is resistance kind of thing, and we'll get another leg down to first target 102.93, that kind of area. So anyway, what I'm trying to say, like, here's what I think they're all going to look like. SMG. I think they're all just going to keep going. Like, they're going to break, and then they're just going to just fall apart. Everything's SAM. Remember how big SAM was after COVID? It just went stupid. This is COVID at 312, and it went to $1,300. It's freaking crazy for Boston Beer Company. Nobody even drinks that. Everybody drinks Miller. I don't know. We might see some major gap downs during earnings on some of these companies. I'm pretty bearish on everything except for SPY, and all these companies are what makes SPY. But SFIX, see how this just went to all new highs and then just dumped and just kind of came back up. But so SFIX is actually on my long list. We'll get a pullback to 47, so let's get in 40 calls over 41. Let's get in like 41 calls or something and ride it back to 50. So let's switch to calls. SFIX looks good. FIS looks good for calls. We've got support, bounce, back to 150. FIS long looks good. TWLO looks good on the weekly. I think we're going to get one really big rip, and it's just going to get crazy, and our stop loss will be the 50-day, and we'll get a 600 out of TWLO. Not sure what they do. I don't remember. That's some long ideas. Other long ideas are, let me go back here. Chinese stocks. I like Chinese stocks long. They're kind of putting in a fake they kind of put in a bottom, and I was still on the weekly, but I don't know. It might bounce here. We'll see. Over well, let's look at BABA for our example. BABA's below COVID lows right now, and I think it's just going to bounce back and go back up to 200, 218. I like BABA long. What's the other one? BKE. Look at this. No, is that the one I was thinking of? No, not BKE. BEKE. How long is this video? Holy Lord. We're at all-time lows on BEKE on huge volume. I think this is the bottom. So this would be a company that I would be interested in putting in my long-term portfolio for now. Huge volume coming in, saving it from crashing at $18. You can't get much cheaper than that on a long-term portfolio stock. Let's look at Dragonfly. It popped on big volume. It's never had that kind of volume before. Now they did have a reverse split, so I would assume that means the float is locked up now, and Dragonfly should be hard to borrow. I don't remember, but I think if we break the 50-day on that one, we're going to get a huge move on Dragonfly, especially if we go to war and they start getting contracts, which I think they are. That's another long-term portfolio idea. CI looks. Oh, this one was. Why is this on my long list? I don't know. It shouldn't be on my long list. Ignore that one. Brazil, BRZU. Looks like it's about to bounce. I don't know what happened here. This is just a weird ETF thing or what. But BRZU looks good to start going higher. We've at a support area kind of thing here, and I think we'll get a fake out and a break and get back up to these kind of prices up here. So that'd be a good long-term investment. I don't want to really get into long-term calls very long unless they're at the bottom. So because I think we're going to have a major pullback in October and after September 17th. So I don't want to hold calls. You can get calls for next week, but ONTF, I don't know what these people are, but it looks like it's bottomed out, and we'll get another big volume spike probably, and then another push higher. Wish still looks good long. I think we're kind of breaking this here, and we'll start pushing back up. DNUT, I'm still in. I think this might, hopefully this is just a shakeout bar and not a change of the trend. I didn't notice earlier how we did kind of break this flag thing here, and I don't know, we'll see what that does on the hourly. I think it was the 200. Yeah, that's where I bought. I added more at 20 cents up here. I don't remember what I was in originally, but now my average is 40 cents on Krispy Kreme, but I think it's ready to go higher, at least back to 18, but we'll see if we can get a move back to 20, 22, and hopefully higher. I think as the market does start to pull back, you'll see these little bitty ones pop because the shorts are going to get out, just like every time GME rips, SPY dips. So man, I'm going on forever, but there's so many. I don't want to miss anything great. Yell, we're still in. It looks like it's going to go higher. I think it's bottomed out and it can start going back towards 10. One more look here. OGI, I'm still in. This one looks good to start going higher. Mostly because we've had these big pops recently, and I think we'll get another one. We're holding this moving average. We'll get another push, and we'll start getting into all-time highs on this guy. It'll be up here in the 20s. OGI looks good. VIH I talked about as a pump and dump, but now that everybody knows about it, it might actually work. So huge volume. Float looks locked up on this, and I have no idea what they're acquiring, but it looks like it's just going to keep going. So VIH still looks good. EA I had on my long list because I think we're going to break this top finally. See, we kind of had a cup and handle, but it never took off, and it just looks like it's holding. We might have had one last shakeout here, and it's just going to keep going. So over 151, EA can start taking off. Talking about gaming, PLTK I think we talked about, but PLTK is a Chinese gaming company. It looks good to start going higher. It looks to break this and keep going. PENN, I wasn't holding long enough to get that nice pop. But we'll get a pullback to 75, and then we'll get into calls there. DKNG also didn't hold long enough for the pop. We got out down here somewhere, but anyway, it looks like it's going to go higher. So keep an eye on gaming stocks. Which reminds me, GME has earnings this week, so I'm not going to mess with it. Yeti was one someone asked me about. Right now it's still bullish. It's holding the moving averages, and we've got a pretty simple trend line deal going on here. So we'll see. If we break above that, we can keep going. If we break below the 50 and then retest it, it can come down. So we'll see what to do with Yeti in the future. I'm just going to wait on that one for this week, though. CRCT, had that on my long list. Only if it breaks 3130. It can go take off again. Huge volume. That's clearly going to be the bottom. It's not going to come down any lower than that anymore. NUE. I'm not sure what I think about that. Let's leave that one alone. EXPD. That looks good to short. EXPD looks like it's going to fall over. Which reminds me, XLF. No, I don't know. Let's leave that one alone too. Anyway, ton of ideas. Ton of short ideas, not any long ideas, because I think we're going to break this trend line. I'm going to put this back on. When we break this trend line, I'm going to short SPY down to the 50 and all these other stocks that are already weak. If you look at this, if I can find it. I don't remember. Oh, hold on. I know it. S50. No. S5FI. This is S&P 500 stocks above the 50-day average. So as of right now, the scale is 100 to 0. So during COVID, we had pretty much zero stocks above their 50-day moving average. And if you can see, SPY is at an all-time high, but the number of stocks that make up the SPY, how many are above their 50-day moving average, was getting less and less. And it looks like this is going to bounce off of the 200-day moving average here. So we'll see. We might get one more pop, and SPY will just rip and then dump. So we'll see. Every time we get to that, everything's oversold, banks take profit, and we get a 50% retracement. So we'll see what happens. Keep an eye on that S5FI, and help that make you make decisions. Help you make decisions about where the market is going. Last one I want to look at is Dogecoin. This thing looks prime and ready to rip. This thing is going to go to the moon just from technical standpoint. So if you see this, 9-day moving average, we got stuck below it. Right here we flipped, and I said I'm getting in long term. This flipped from resistance to support, and I actually got in at 16 cents. I got tagged and it ripped, so it was perfect entry, but I added over here when we started consolidating. Now we're back above it, and I think it's just going to keep going. And I think by keep going, I mean just like keep going. Like, I think my original prediction was like $12 or something like that. So I mean, it sounds stupid. Dogecoin is made up. It's not even real. I don't know what you can even buy with it, but just draw your trend line here, and that'll be your next target, $48, right? If we start ripping, I mean, you can't get any better than that. A penny stock that you can trade on Robinhood, right? Throw $100 in Dogecoin, just let it ride for 10 years. Who cares? You guys have a good evening. Send me all of your ideas. I like looking at other people's ideas, and I like you guys critiquing my ideas. Helps me get better ideas and learn. I love learning. So have a good evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.